yeah, once you've put that money aside, you should really just forget about it, no matter how much it's growing, and believe that, it's being reinvested and potentially growing faster than it would have if you did not reinvest it. So yeah, I fairly often tell my copiers to reinvest and also to continue to add more if and when they can.
I encourage people, if you feel like you've earned a really good amount of money and you want to take out the initial investment, then go for it. It's nice to know that even if everything went to zero, that you would actually have still broken even. That's a pretty cool feeling to have.
I should have perhaps been a bit more, open to taking some risk. But yeah, I stuck to my strategy. So it's not really a mistake in my view. But it's a good time to stop and maybe reevaluate the strategy and reevaluate how we make decisions.
And I was really overly hesitant to close my hedges and close my short positions and to switch long. And I got greedy on the downside and I got greedy on the upside as it kind of bounced around the bottom. And I started over trading it a little bit. And, I'd made enough against the benchmarks from shorting that downturn that it didn't really matter, but it mattered to me. I could see that I was, I looked back a week later and I was like, what was I doing? I was doing, changing my mind in the same day.
You've been a very, very staunch advocate of cryptocurrencies / Bitcoin, and we've seen Bitcoin hit all-time highs in 2017, see it massively correct, and then see it go back right now to another all-time high. Given that, I think in terms of acceptance, cryptocurrencies are relatively more accepted now than 2017, relatively. Given that we are here now and things have shifted a bit in terms of digital transactions, digital currencies, do you think that we may see another crash still, or do you think prices will just consolidate and then push back up again?
Yeah, I think the second option. I think they're going to continue to consolidate and then push higher. I think 2021 looks really, really optimistic for Bitcoin. There's a few kind of reasons behind that. I think first of all, you're seeing an increasing number of companies use Bitcoin as part of their balance sheet to help control currency risk. And that's more important for companies that are perhaps cash rich and can afford to do that. There are even some companies that, realistically, that you wouldn't invest in them anymore based on their company and what they do. You'd invest on them based on how much Bitcoin they hold, because it makes so much more of an impact to how much they're worth and what their valuation is. The other really key trend, though, that I think is probably going to be playing out over the next couple of years is this battle between fiat currencies and central banks with Bitcoin, and how that kind of resolves itself. You mentioned earlier about interest rates changing and stuff, and negative interest rates. We have, insane levels of money printing, and obviously, I believe that most of that is justified, right? We need to help people get through this situation. But of course, the flip side of that is that, why would you hold US dollars or euros or something like that when you can hold something that doesn't have that same level of inflation? And obviously, gold used to occupy that space, but I think that increasingly in the digital age, Bitcoin is filling that void, and gold has a valuation of around $8 trillion dollars in total, and I suspect that we're going to see Bitcoin eat into that. I could quite easily see Bitcoin heading towards $1 trillion total market cap, if you would call it that, over the next few years. And after that, who knows? I mean, it's a very difficult thing to really predict, and there's pros and cons to it as well in terms of its effect on society and its effect on nations in terms of raising tax and monetary policy and all sorts of spending problems and stuff that kind of derive from that. But at the end of the day, I don't see a way to stop it. So my feeling is that you're better to be keeping an eye on it and have some level of exposure than not to. That's my feelings on it.
Got it. Heloise, you want to chime in or you're good?
No, I'm good. I think Jay is the matter expert on the Bitcoin. I have not held it in my portfolio for a long time, although I totally agree with his sentiment that it certainly, has nestled its place into, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, but until it has found its rightful place, it might be a bit of a bumpy ride.
Got it.
It will definitely be bumpy. I can say that much.
Yeah.
There's one thing I've learned over the past 8 years.
Yep. I'm curious about this. So you guys, your portfolios are up. Now, I'm sure a lot of people would be interested about knowing this. As you start making money from your investing, what do you guys do? Do you guys pull out the money and spend it to buy other stuff? Or do you reinvest it into another asset class? Or does everything stay inside your stock investing portfolio?
So I openly talk about telling my copiers to leave whatever profits they make in their portfolio, because I tend to reinvest it either immediately or fairly soon. So I like to grow the nest. Once you put that money aside, you should really just forget about it, no matter how much it's growing, and believe that it's being reinvested and potentially growing faster than it would have if you did not reinvest it. So I fairly often tell my copiers to reinvest and also to continue to add more if and when they can.
No plans to buy any Lamborghini soon?
No, Oxford is a very bicycle-friendly city.
Okay, got it. Okay, Jay.
Yeah, I pretty much along the same wavelength, really. I think you've got to kind of segregate money that is for the future and what the term investment actually means. What are you investing for? What's the purpose of it? If you want to take money out because you want to go and buy yourself a house, or you want to go get married or something, then that's understandable, because those are big, like, life goals. But for me, I think investing is mainly about retirement, as well as those life goals. So, I encourage people, if you feel like you've earned a really good amount of money and you want to take out the initial investment, then go for it. It's nice to know that even if everything went to zero, that you would actually have still broken even. That's a pretty cool feeling to have. But at the same time, I'm also telling them the opposite, right? The power of compounding growth. The fact that if you keep adding $200, $100 every single month over and over and over, then in 10 years time, you're going to be in a really, really good position. So, I think it's about striking a balance, right? You've got to understand why you're investing and what the goals are. And if you're just withdrawing it to buy yourself a pizza, then you probably should never have invested it in the first place.
Got it. And speaking of taking out money for a wedding, guys, to everyone watching this, now is the best time to get married, because your costs for weddings will be very, very low, because no one will attend the wedding. So everything will be virtual and you will save a lot of money. And that will solve a lot of your budget problems in terms of having a wedding. That's a tip right there for everyone. But anyways, what can your subscribers or copiers or people who are following you and thinking about copying you for 2021, what can they expect from you? And then any words of inspiration for investors that somehow, some way want to be like you guys someday?
I don't know where to start, really. How to get started in investing? Start. It's probably the first thing. Actually start. Do some research. Sit down. I think I'm entirely self-taught in investing. I had no background in it at all. I've obviously had quite a few years of experience now to get to what hopefully is quite good. Investopedia.com is essentially like a Wikipedia for investing terms, and that's where I learned the vast amount of my basics on how to analyze companies and things. Learning about what is a price to earnings ratio and what are these different indicators on charts? How does a candlestick work? You can learn all of those things in a week from just kind of Googling them. And the other thing, I guess, is to just kind of practice, right? Start small, start with real money, because I think you trade very differently when you know that it's actual money on the line. And yeah, just experiment a bit and find what works for you. Don't try and follow what other people tell you to do, because different people invest differently. There are people that totally invest totally differently to me, and would never even consider looking at fundamentals. They only look at a chart, or they only look at sentimental analysis and things like that. Some people like to flip coins. Whatever works for you works for you.
Got it. Before I go to Heloise, I'm so curious about this. You mentioned about PE and PB. Do you have any benchmark for yourself that only PEs around this level, PB this level, anything else I don't like anymore?
I don't really have a set level, because it really entirely depends on the company and the sectors that they're working in. If they're really growth stage, or if they're kind of at scale already. There's all sorts of things to consider, right? I mean, generally speaking, one of the best ways to do it is to really compare it to other companies that are similar. I find, if you compare Shopify and Etsy, then you're looking at companies that ultimately have a pretty similar kind of business model. If you're looking at, Tesla compared to Lowe's, like a hardware store, then obviously they're entirely different. Tesla has got, the EV market is around 3 or 4% of the entire car market currently, whereas I think probably the market for buying, power tools is probably pretty established at this point. So, you can't read too much into that. And the same thing goes for like price to book, EV, EBITDA, like all of those ratios really can vary based on the sector. Some EBITDA is a really good one as well, because some companies really have to invest long term. If you're a company that builds nuclear power plants, then those are multi-year long projects, and the costs are going to be kind of split over several years. Whereas if you're a company that builds bicycles, you don't have that kind of long-term investment. You build a new bike, it's ready to sell, you sell it the same year. You've got to kind of really analyze what the company does to understand which ones to use and what is fair valuation and what isn't.
So in terms of expectations for 2021, I think they can just expect us to do more of the same, to be diligent, stick to our strategy, and continue to look for like undervalued stock or beaten down sectors that we can get into in the new year, and just keeping a moderate to lower risk score on my portfolio, I think, is a big objective for the new year, given all the uncertainty. For people who want to get into the stock market, I think Jay is absolutely right. It's just about starting is the most important thing. I have friends who tell me, oh, I'll put in money, and it's a year later, and I'm like, oh, if you have put in money a year ago, even if it was $100, it would have been something else, but now it's still $100 in your pocket. So the most important thing is to start. And I often talk about using the virtual portfolio on eToro for people who are scared to kind of put in real money. But I think that also comes with a risk that you can get complacent, because you can get stuck in that virtual portfolio where, as Jay rightly says, when it's your own money, when you have skin in the game, you do tend to think of the decisions that you're making quite differently. So the most important thing is just to put money into the stock market. And then there's so many resources on the internet. I recently posted a course which eToro was giving coupons for people to do. If you really want to do it, you'll do it. Or if you don't want to take the hassle, then just copy somebody. But again, at least take some time to make sure that you understand a bit of what they're doing, and that you do feel comfortable with where their strategy sits within your portfolio.
Got it. Amazing words. And to everyone watching this, I really do hope you start, because if you're watching this, you're sitting through to the end and you don't do anything about it, you just got entertained. And the money is really when you put it into the ground. And what's interesting about the market is it's not get rich quick. It's just like planting a seed in the ground. It also takes time for it to grow. And some trees, some plants, they don't go up at the same time. So never compare yourself with other people. Oh, why is my friend earning this much? I'm not doing so well. Because each plant, each tree would go up in different proportions and in different time also. But what's important is it's planted. And I don't know if you hear this from people when they talk to you. They would normally say this, one of their biggest regrets is they should have started this earlier. Because at the end of the day, your biggest asset in all of this is time. It allows you to become more aggressive, especially if you're younger. So I guess that's it. Thank you so much for joining us. There's no fast talk for today, which Jay loves so much. But
I do love it.
If there's one wish that you have for everyone as we end this, what would it be? Or if you're like Thanos, if you can have a wish to snap everything out, what would it be?
I just wanted to steal the really easy and good one, which is obviously that hopefully nobody else gets COVID. It disappears immediately. It's just gone. Actually, COVID turns into a really good thing, gives you superpowers. Yeah, well, one of those things. Yeah, obviously, basically hoping that everyone stays healthy and looks after themselves, looks after other people around you, your neighbors, your friends. Look out for people, not just in terms of their health, but their mental health as well.
You did steal the good one. No, I was absolutely going to say the same. I mean, I think no matter how many seeds you have in the ground, if you don't have good health, if you don't have family, if you don't have friends around it, none of those things mean anything. So I think for 2021, for everyone, we just wish you good health, good prosperity, and just good friendships, good time with your family and everyone who's important to you. And the rest of this will just, be a bonus on top of that.
Got it. And I'm sure both of them have one request, that you hit the like button for the YouTube algorithm so people like this video more. But the reason why they're here is I believe in them. And I really believe that they're not just really good at what they do, they also have the heart to share it to a lot of people. So there are a lot of good popular investors in eToro, but if you would want to drill down and research on a couple of people, Jay and Heloise are people that you should follow, you should copy, and I hope that what they do also benefits your portfolio as well. So thank you so much, guys, for watching and to you, Jay and Heloise, for being part of this and always being game for all of my questions. And thank you, and I hope this video helps you trade well, trade strong, trade smart. See you all again soon, and God bless, guys.
I would start with the product that's just meant to generate buzz and hype, that's PR worthy. So a product na pag-uusapan na not necessarily ko kailangan pagkakitaan. It can be a loss leader type of product. It can be a product na medyo outrageous na wala naman talaga bibili. Pero it's a product that will generate buzz and that will create excitement for the store. Kasi you're new eh. So I don't want to buy the views. I don't want to buy the reach. So I'll let social media do its thing by creating something that will capture the imagination of people. Diba? So kalimutan mo na lahat na iba. Alam mo yun, di ba nga programming, engineering, tapos coding. Pero para sa akin, storytelling right now is like way up there. Kasi if you don't know how to tell a story, if you don't know how to create excitement over stuff, it's hard to sell.